Igor from Velo Orange here, and I'm here with Ambassador Shane from Philly Bike Expo, and he came by today because he was modifying this very cool old Trek mountain bike, and thought it would be a really cool video to do since it's both a fairly unique but also fairly common thing to see. So why don't you take us a little walk through what we have here?
Sure. So as somebody who started mountain biking in the early 90s, I've always had a deep appreciation for those bikes and always had a love for those bikes. At the time when I started riding, I really couldn't have afforded a lugged frame. And I've always kind of kept that in the back of my mind. Comically enough, and maybe like those of you that love vintage bikes, sometimes I get fixated on a particular part of that whole process. And long story short, I had scored this old vintage Diori LX crankset, and I was like, I have to have a bike that goes with this crankset. And so lo and behold, on Marketplace pops up this Trek 930 lugged frame, made in the USA, and in really pretty stellar condition. And it had this sticker on it that said quote unquote gravel bike. So of course I knew I had to have
the gravel bike sticker.
And when I saw the bike, the other thing that really pulled me to it was I was like, oh, that stem,
Oh yeah.
stem.
So when we were kind of checking out the bike earlier, it's a nice looking stem, and then it has this little piercing up here that goes all the way through for the cable for the cantilever brakes.
And so the bike itself, I think, has probably had multiple lives at some point. I'm going to presume that it was ridden in lots of mixed terrain. It's even got the rims that say it's ATB.
Oh, so it's official, just like the sticker.
Yeah, it's
just
official.
Like the gravel bike sticker. You have the ATB rims. Where are they? Oh, here it is. Single track ATB.
And it's got a 7-speed freewheel, because I'm always about the newest technology.
Uh-huh.
So, I was like, well, do I go through axle or do I go freewheel? I went freewheel. And what else? I mean, it's got a pump peg. It's got...
Yeah, you really don't see the pump pegs very often anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know if I don't really know if people are using like frame mounted pumps so much anymore, especially with like CO2 or like the pumps that you can kind of like extend.
Sure.
I mean, that's what I have on my bike.
Oh yeah, and then on top of that, totally getting why a frame bag is going to be more important than it's
so
going to get tucked in the frame bag.
Yeah, so you have that room.
You got options.
Yeah,
you got options. Yeah. It's got a chain hanger. I mean, come on now.
Uh-huh.
I mean, what bike has that anymore?
So
I've always loved that.
So when we came out with the camper, we had the same thing, and maybe people didn't necessarily read the description, but we said it has a chain hanger, and people would email us and be like, "What is this nubbin?" And it's I actually have a camper here, so if you ever see it on a bike on the drive side seat stay, it's a chain hanger. So the chain hanger is there so that you can hang the chain on it, as it's called, so that you can take your rear wheel out without having to untangle the chain or have it sitting there or kind of laying on the ground when you're taking the rear wheel off to change a tube or something like that.
Yeah, and sorry to disappoint you all. It's not for a top secret micro frame bag that only one exists on.
Yeah, exactly. So let's see. You brought a little parts bin with us.
I bought these very fine cable kits. I was looking for something online, and it looks like that's going to be a pretty good match. So these are going to be sweet.
I feel like that's as close as you're going to get.
I've got some very sweet pink pedals from Deity that, we're going to get in that kind of pink vibe here. So we're going to do a nice little color completion. This is that LX crankset that I stumbled upon within the last year, and I was like, I've got to find a bike to mount this on.
This is what everybody is looking for, because these always either fell off, got lost, or damaged. Just these little chromed crank caps. Those are hard to find.
And what else do we have in here? We've got these very cool Shimano servo wave action adjustable levers,
Mm-hmm.
and the cable actually fits in back here and locks into place. So pretty unique lever with so much awesomeness.
That's pretty cool.
So much Shimano vintage awesomeness.
And you even have a couple derailleur options.
Oh yeah, wait. Oh, this is for Russ out there. The front derailleur is not dead. In fact, it lives in my box. At least a couple of them.
Well, they're gonna be migrating out of the box at some point onto a bike.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to, because I had a Suntour one, and then the other day I stumbled upon this Diori one, so I can finish out my suite of Diori drivetrain. I've got a front shifter, because if one's going to have a front derailleur, you kind of need that.
That's true. All right, so what are we putting on this fine machine here?
So, well, I need a couple of accessories to finish off the build, right? So this is kind of vintage parts build, but also, having access to a company like Velo Orange is really cool, because, nice to round this thing out with some beautiful silver cages, maybe a nice looking saddle. Definitely want some swept-back handlebars. I got this bike in mind as a French fit. I'm one of those people that has a very short inseam and a really long torso, so a bike like this will fit me nicely. But the seat's going to be a little bit on the lower side, not much post showing, but I really want to have a nice swept-back setup, and I know Velo Orange has got so many different options that I can really, come here to the showroom and take a look at fit and see what it's going to look like, rather than just stab in the dark.
Yeah, cool. So I'm thinking most of the time people put like clunker style bars on 26-inch ATBs, but if we're going to stick with this style stem, then we can't, because you need a faceplate stem, a removable faceplate stem, and this one does not have a removable faceplate. So I'm thinking maybe the Milan bars might be a good option. Saddle, and you already have the cables. Is there anything else?
Yeah, maybe some cages. The cages, the Mojave cage is an awesome cage. So much love for the Nalgene bottle. It also fits the stainless steel Hydro Flask if that's your vibe. So you got options.
Okay, cool. Well, let me go grab some of those items and see how it fits. All right, so right now we're taking a look, comparing bars between the Taurus and the Milan.
Now, if we look at them compared to the original bar, it's pretty much spot on. So it's not going to be a big change for some folks. Yeah. For sure. And if you're, getting in and out of, kind of narrow city riding, that definitely might be your thing for sure.
Yeah, I mean, even when you look at these, I mean, this is like basically a pipe. The bar that's on here already, it's basically like a straight pipe. Even with the sweep, it's going to be significantly more comfortable than just kind of being on this flat bar.
Yeah, and certainly this stem's already got a nice bit of rise. I know that if I was going to have to upgrade the stem, I would probably end up going with a coil stem with a faceplate. But because this is totally usable and salvageable, thinking these nice swept-back bars will fit in here nicely. I've got plenty of room to drop my stem if need be, if I don't want to have it too high, but then I could also bring it up quite high for, if I was looking for full-on kind of tourist riding, maybe, in a busy city where I'm just trying to keep my sights, kind of up and out.
Yeah.
Maybe dad biking.
And then I was noticing here that one of the things you can do, if you already have it set up, is you can kind of compare the grip length to make sure that everything is going to fit. And with this guy, yeah, you're going to have lots of room to have the shifters and the brake levers and any grips that you want. Cool. Well, this is a pretty exciting build. I think a lot of people really like, picking up these ATBs, MTBs, vintage 26-inch, depending on what era I guess you were born in, if it's vintage or not. But I mean, how much did you pick this guy up for?
$90.
$90. I mean, there's some great deals to be had out there, you spend a little bit of money fixing it up, and you have a very usable and customized bike. So yeah, next, so Shane's gonna pick up these items, and then he's gonna fix it up, bring it back, and we'll see how it looks afterwards.
Yeah, just remember, if you're doing a kind of an upgrade like this, nothing that is involved like a full restoration, I think there's plenty of room out there to not be scared and to get at it. This is not running internal routing. This is not running hydraulics, no bleeds. This is all very mechanical, very user-friendly. And it's great to have a company that supplies parts to make that happen.
Yeah, and that's definitely well, thank you for the kind words, first of all, but also it's nice to have things like you said that are very mechanical, because like you said, this doesn't have like a BB30 shell where you're only limited to like a few options. Everything's super normal, so don't be afraid to get at it. All right, and we're back. It's been a few weeks, and Shane's finished up his Trek 930. So let's take a look at it. What did you put on here?
So well, it was a little bit of an evolution. I think anybody that's done a bike, my original idea for this older bike was not necessarily a full restoration, but I was kind of going for period vibes, and then ultimately, period correct. And then ultimately I was like, there's some things about this that just aren't kind of working. And so I had to do a deep dive, got in touch with some connections in the bike world, and ended up changing out the wheel set. Ended up deciding to go with a pair of Velo Orange Grand Crew levers, some Paul Moto light brakes on the front. And so we ended up doing a resto mod and up the game a little, let's say.
Right on, cool.
A mix and match of parts. I remember just recently watching some nice video content from everyone's favorite vintage bike rider, Ronnie Romance, and he was joking about a bike being a deeply curated build, and I chuckled out loud when I heard him say that in the video. And then I was working on this, and I was like, I think that's kind of what I'm doing. I get where he's coming from.
For
so
sure.
There's literally, a Suntour front derailleur, a mid-school XT mid-cage rear derailleur, an old school LX crankset, triple.
So the thing that stands out to me first off is this rear rack.
Yeah,
so tell me about how you came across this guy.
Absolutely. So like any good bike geek, I spend all my spare moments online scrolling through online sales, and I found this person who had a photograph of 6 old Treks in a giant jumbled pile along a fence, and it was like, please get these out of my yard. And in the background, in the photographs, and I'm like zooming in the screen, is this shiny purple rack from the early 90s. And I was like, well, I have to go get all those bikes because I need the purple rack. So that's kind of what I did.
Right on. Now I see all of these little touches with the color, like the bag and the Nalgene and the pedals, and even it's these little details, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And these nice kind of basket weave grips, there's nice subtle polished brake levers, and then these kind of blasts of pink and blue. Just worked out really fun. Nittany Mountain Works front bag, same thing, a little blast of color, but with some subtle browns.
Yeah.
So really going for that contrast. I love these cream colored tires. Just a really fun thing. Another surprise was just having some issues with one of the wheels. I just decided I needed to jump ship on that original ATB wheel set, and then got a hold of this really lovely hand-built XT wheel set that, nice kind of late 90s, beautiful polished silver, back when you could still find lots of beautiful polished silver stuff all over the place. Now you got to go to great companies like Velo Orange if you need those polished hubs, because they aren't out there too easily found.
Yeah.
They are there, but not lots of them. So it's been an awesome fun build. These Taurus handlebars that you all make are just super.
This looks really comfy.
Yeah, super comfy. This is definitely the bike that it's like, maybe going out on a Sunday afternoon, really crowded on the C&O Canal with the family, just really kind of like keeping the sights on the horizon, not hammering down. But I think an all-day rider still, maybe not running a pace line, but definitely an all-day rider. Mixed terrain, this thing will be awesome on gravel, um, rail trails, everything that you could imagine throwing at it. I think it's going to handle. And even with all these accessories and all this kind of like what might be perceived as kind of like old technology and not nothing carbon, of course, on this bike, it's still easily coming in well under 30 pounds as it sets.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. So we're talking comfortable, smooth, luxurious, but not heavy. So
Yeah,
I think there's sometimes a misnomer that if it's not all carbon, it's going to be a boat anchor. And I don't think that's the case.
Awesome. Well, this looks like a super fun ride. Right on. Congratulations. I enjoy it. So we're going to end it here. As always, thanks so much for watching. And I hope that this gives you some ideas for your own, maybe 26-inch ATB build. So I'll check in next time. Happy riding.